The year is 1894. The city is London. The problem is horse poo. Now, in London at the time, horses were used for just about everything. There were horse-drawn carts, there were horse-drawn taxis, there were horse-drawn buses. Horses were the mainstay of our economy, and yet they had a huge problem with them. They needed to poo. And horse manure was becoming such a major issue that London was starting to grind to a halt. The Times newspaper, at the time, panicked, and it drew a straight line from how much horse manure was being created today, and it said that in 50 years' time, London, every single street, will be under 3 meters of horse manure. It seemed like the ultimate unfixable problem, but 50 years later, it was fixed. Now, the thing that fixed it wasn't environmental activism, and I say that as an environmental activist, but it wasn't us. We didn't exist. It was technology. The thing that got rid of this awful environmental issue was the T-model Ford, the car that revolutionized transport and ultimately did away with the vast majority of our exploitation of horses. Good news for the horses, but the most fascinating thing about this is that it changed our morality. Okay, here's what I mean. Back in the days when we used horses for just about everything, we were unbelievably cruel to these lovely beings, but we thought nothing of it. So a horse can, on average, live 25 to 30 years old if it's left to its natural life. Back in the times when we exploited them, well, on the streets of London, they'd be lucky to live to the age of 3. They were so expendable that people would shoot them in the head and leave the corpse on the street. Corpses were seen so often that it was one of the favourite things of children to play around. Well, today, the thought of shooting a horse dead on the streets of London and leaving its corpse there to rot, it's morally unthinkable. And a big part of that is thanks to what we call the techno-ethical shift that took place. Now, this idea of techno-ethical shifts is something that's happened throughout our history. And some of the examples are mind-blowing. Now, here's one in which morality and technology have flown together and have sort of influenced each other. And this is the contraceptive pill. Now, in the year 1960, the contraceptive pill reached the market for the first time. And, well, just like with our example before, it had profound consequences. But this one far more complex. Now, the contraceptive pill changed women's ability to control their own reproduction, and as a result, it changed their entry into the workforce, it changed their position in culture, and it changed a whole host of social attitudes. Now, the important thing to note here is we're not saying that the contraceptive pill was responsible for feminism. No, but rather that the process of social liberation that had been powered by social movements, powered by hard-working activism, was suddenly changed, or one could say turbocharged, by the emergence of a technology. Well, other examples include kerosene turning up and helping us get rid of whale oil, which means we didn't need to kill whales anymore. Or perhaps more recently, and perhaps more profoundly, the emergence of the internet, meaning that we are now the most interconnected humanity has ever been, and interestingly, we're also the most peaceful humanity has ever been. Today, we're so interconnected that wars are far less feasible and attractive because of our economic and cultural interconnectivity. So why am I telling you this? Well, today we are facing the most profound crisis that we as a human society have ever faced. And that is the breakdown of our climate and our biodiversity. Now, there's no nice way of making this fun and cozy in this nice video I'm making you today, but there is one important thing to note, and that is that this crisis could be overcome with another of these techno-ethical shifts. Now, yes, we need activism. We need people like me who go out on the streets and we get arrested and we do everything we can. But it's important to note that we also need the fruits of human hands. We need technology as well. Now, there's no greater example of how this could profoundly change the course of this crisis than the oncoming and new abilities we have to create animal products out of the lab. Now today, new technologies such as cultivated meat and precision fermentation promise that within just a few years, we could produce milk and meat and cheese without using animals at all. Now, just as that profound change happened back in the 19th century, it could happen today. Only today, it could help not just save London from the horse manure crisis, it could help save our entire planet. So let's get behind a techno-ethical shift and let's do it today.